Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Your First Book podcast. So in the past, I have been a huge fan of NaNoWriMo, and to be honest, I still am. I mean, I dedicated an entire YouTube video last year to Preptober vibes. And to be honest, I think I might be even a bit more of a fan of Preptober even than NaNoWriMo itself. It feels like Christmas. It gives me those warm, fuzzy feelings. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I highly suggest you watch my Preptober must-haves video here on YouTube. And for those of you who don't know what NaNoWriMo is, it's an annual writing challenge with the goal of writing a book of 50,000 words in 1 month. And honestly, as insane as that sounds, I really love the premise and the spirit behind this challenge. And it's what helped me get started on my very first draft of my fiction novel. I am now on draft number 3. If you want a title reveal, head over to my Instagram at author Christine Elise. But anyways, so with all this love for NaNoWriMo, I know you clicked on this episode. You're probably wondering why the heck I'm not participating in it this year. And before we get to that point, I thought it would be fun if we could kick this episode off with NaNoWriMo's origin story, beginning with an email sent out in 1999 from a gentleman named Chris Beatty to his friends list. So I'm taking this email from an email I got from the NaNoWriMo email list organizers themselves. So here we go. Here goes. In 1999, Chris Beatty sent out this email to his friends list. Hear ye, come one, come all, and dust off those word processing devices. Under the motto, a lousy novel is better than no novel at all, I have declared July National Novel Writing Month. As we all know, it is now in November. To celebrate, I want to write a novel in a month, and I want you to write one too. Everybody's got a ton of stories in them. Collectively, we have lived over 700 years, and in that time, we've accumulated enough characters, places, and plot twists to fill a dozen tombs. I am proposing that we seize art by the horns and spill some of those experiences onto the page. This will be a great exercise for everyone interested in storytelling who has thought fleetingly about writing a novel but has been scared away by the time and effort involved. As you write, you can draw comfort from the fact that all around the country, other National Novel Writing Month participants are going through the same joys and sorrows of producing the frenetic American novel. Because the writing time is so short, the only thing we're looking for is length. Reach 200 pages, just 7 pages a day, and you're done. Quality is of no concern. Don't have an ending? Just stop writing at page 200. Real writers do it all the time. No plot? No worries. Some of the best novels of the past 20 years haven't had plots. I think all of us will surprise ourselves with what we are able to produce in such a limited window of time. The short working period will prevent the second guessing and foot dragging that can stifle creativity. It will also limit the I should really be working on my novel guilt to a 1-month window. Okay, the breakdown. What? Writing one 200 plus page novel from scratch in a month's time. Who? You. I can't do this unless I have some other people trying it as well. Let's write laughably awful yet lengthy prose together. Why? The reasons are endless. To actively participate in one of our era's most enchanting art forms, to write without having to obsess over quality, to be able to make obscure references to passages from your novel at parties, to be able to mock a real novelist who dawdle on and on, taking far longer than 30 days to produce their work. So that is the end of the email, NaNoWriMo's origin story. And I'm not going to lie, I feel a little called out about that last sentence because I am spending way more than 30 days to produce this book, but I think this is fair and we will get to that later. But this email still excites me, even though it was written in the 90s. Side note, I love all 90s stuff. Hope to incorporate 90s vibe into a future novel one day. But there are some criticisms of NaNoWriMo, and those actually aren't the reasons why I'm not participating, like the most common criticisms you hear, and we'll talk about that. So I just want to say that I think NaNoWriMo itself as a challenge doesn't really make time for critics or invite critics, because the overall spirit is fun. Like, sure, if NaNoWriMo was a regulatory board where you had to have a license to be able to be an author and to participate in this challenge for 1 month, then sure, I might agree with these criticisms I've heard in the past. But let me take away your suspense, and let's talk about some of those criticisms. So I think for many of us, if we do reach the goal of 50,000 words in a month, which is insane and quite an accomplishment that I have not been able to do, I don't think, if you're someone who's listening to this like me and you really do want to publish your first book one day, I highly doubt that if in 1 month you produce 50,000 words, that's your first draft. I highly doubt you are like, okay, yep, this is my first book. It's done. It's ready for publishing. It's here to go. Like, I think we are well aware of what's needed before reaching a published product. So the criticism of like, you can't produce a quality novel in 30 days. I think for those of us that are going down the path of publishing, I think we get that. And I think NaNoWriMo is a great way to get motivated to finish a first draft of something, of an idea that has just kind of been marinating in your head. So let's take, actually, another criticism I have heard is that the website itself is not that user-friendly. It's kind of clunky. It's not that fun. But honestly, for a free challenge that you can participate in, it is what it is. And it's not one of the reasons why I'm not participating. So I want to bring you back to the hype and forget about the criticism for a moment, because as you can see from that email, like, I don't know about you, but when I read that email, I felt excited. Like, I felt called to participate again, even though I know it's not in my best interest to this year. But the hype for NaNoWriMo is very real, and it continues to be so to this day. Just search NaNoWriMo vlogs on YouTube and you will find so many writers documenting their process. I love watching those in my downtime, so highly recommend you do that. Like, the energy surrounding other writers in the month of November, because NaNoWriMo, is incredible. And it is a great time to connect with other writers in the community, to make other writer friends, to participate in the collective stress of some insane deadline of 50,000 words a month brings you. So anyways, as you can see, I'm still a huge fan of NaNoWriMo. So although I'm about to reveal why I'm not participating in NaNoWriMo this year, if you are someone who has the inkling that you want to write a book and you simply just want to see what lands on the page, I highly encourage you to give NaNoWriMo a try. It's not about winning that 50,000 word count. At least it wasn't for me, because I could never make it, but it is about getting started on a project that is important to you. So why I'm not participating this year? As mentioned before, I feel like NaNoWriMo was excellent for the first draft stage of connecting flights. That's right, you heard the title reveal here on YouTube. But I'm now on draft number 3. I am now in the revision stages. So I think by saying no to NaNoWriMo this year and saying no to making the fun little vlogs and just documenting my progress, that kind of thing, I think by saying no to NaNoWriMo this year, that I am avoiding shiny object syndrome. Because the goal of this challenge is to write something from scratch. It's tempting to start a brand new project altogether, trust me, but that would mean I'm delaying finishing my current work in progress, and my priority right now needs to be to revise and edit my novel. And I'll be honest, I know I'll miss the NaNoWriMo hype, but really, like, what's stopping me from creating revision hype in my own life? Like all the things I did last year to prep for NaNoWriMo, fall candles, cozy lighting, snacks, etc., etc. I can do this year. Winter's coming up. It's cold here. And I think I just really, because NaNoWriMo is in such a cold month, at least in North America, I just really love the cozy feelings that it brings. So, what's to stop me from creating that ambience? Nothing really. So, um, although I do want to mention that Camp NaNoWriMo is offered in July and April, and this has more flexibility what the challenge is, and it's really just work on whatever you want to work on for the month. So arguably, you could just say that this month I'm doing a Camp NaNoWriMo or what you call NaNoWriMo Rebels, where they're not really following the rules, but they still want to participate in the community. And you could argue that since this episode has the word NaNoWriMo in it, people may click on it who are interested in NaNoWriMo. And in that effect, I am essentially part of the NaNoWriMo community. But most importantly, as fun as it would be to try writing a brand new story or book too, and not caring what lands on the page, I need to continually remind myself that while last year my priority was to start a fiction novel, now my priority is to finish the fiction novel so I can actually publish it. And if I don't continue working on the next draft and the next draft and the next draft and so on, no one else is going to do that for me. So I want to bring this around full circle and remind you that the spirit of NaNoWriMo is still there. You saw how exciting that initial email is. And I do feel like to this day, writers that continue to participate in NaNoWriMo, the hype is not left behind. And I still love this as a challenge. I still highly, highly recommend it, especially if you are dreaming of writing and publishing a book one day and you're like, I don't even know how to get my first draft off the page. I'll tell you what, I learned a lot about writing my first draft by signing up for NaNoWriMo, because since I signed up for NaNoWriMo, it led me to other writerly resources on how to outline a book, that kind of thing. So I learned a lot just by joining the challenge itself. But as we have already discussed, my focus needs to be on revising my novel, Connecting Flights, so that I can get it ready for publication. So I want to leave you with some takeaway questions. I want you to reflect on, what stage of writing are you in? Are you simply just dreaming about writing a fiction novel? If so, I highly encourage you to join NaNoWriMo and make other writerly friends. Or have you already finished a first draft? If so, congratulations. I know it's no easy feat. I thought I wasn't going to get out of the woodworks for this one. And is it your goal to publish a novel one day? If so, I'd encourage you to find beta readers ASAP to give you a rundown of their initial thoughts on your first draft. And question number 3, have you already received editing and beta reader feedback and are staring at the feedback slightly frozen with what to do next? Now, this is one I really resonate with, and that is currently me. So if this is you too, I'd invite you to join me in reminding yourself that this is the next step to get your first book finished so that it can be ready for publication. And I honestly cannot wait to hear what you're working on. Let me know whether you're participating in NaNoWriMo or not, and I will chat to you about books next week.